Rue, sit. Sit. This is Rue, and this is Rue's roadmap to success. We started off the session by talking about exercise. She is a doodle, and she's 1.5, so she, or 2.5? Two and a half. 2.5. And so doodles usually between 1.5 to 2.5, somewhere around there, as they kind of lose some energy. She's not as boisterous as she used to be. But exercise is, I call it a multiplier and amplifier. Not enough exercise will typically amplify the problems you have. More exercise makes it easier to fix them. Now for her, if she's being naughty, if she's like getting in, keeps on going towards the baby or jumping up on your guests, or you have guests coming over, or you're gonna have a dinner party, setting the dog up for success is always a good strategy. So what I'd like you to do is do the doggy stairmaster. Remember, the first time do it with an empty stomach and keep throwing those treats up and down the stairs until she says, "You're crazy, I'm not going down there anymore." Remember, there's a one word that means to go down the stairs. So we say, throw the treat down, she licks it up, we say Jamaica, then sure we have another one, she comes up, call that one Denver, or whatever you want to use. And then each down up is 1. First time do it with an empty stomach, keep doing it until she's like, "You're crazy, I'm not going down there anymore." I've been down there 88 times. Now we know the maximum number. She should probably exercise 50 to 75% of that maximum number multiple times a day. So ideally every 2 to 4 hours. So other things we can do is play fetch. She loves to play fetch. That's a great one. She also, the Guardians do scent games, which is another great way to do it because it's a nice way to burn energy by using their nose. She can also do, I would recommend getting a snuffle mat, and you can get those on Amazon or Chewy. The one I want is when you search, it's that gray one that I showed you in the video. That's, I find, the best one. You can wash it. And then start feeding her out of that. Now, she is a free-fed dog, and this is just this one little change will make a big difference for the Guardians. So what I would do is go ahead and, well, I'm going to tell you guys to skip dinner tonight. So tomorrow, give her breakfast, put it in her bowl, and then call over and have her come over to eat it. And come up with a funny word that means to eat. I say grub, feast, and lasagna. For each one of my dogs has its own unique word. So when she takes, if it's lasagna, when she takes her first bite of food for 3 months, you say lasagna every time she takes that first bite of food. After a while, lasagna becomes the command word to eat. Just like that housekeeping means that you can come and eat the treats in the video we went over above. So she's probably not going to eat for a day or two. And as soon as she sniffs the bowl, she's on the clock. As soon as she walks away, pick up the bowl, dump it empty, and put that empty bowl back down. She doesn't eat again until dinner the next day, or dinner. So twice a day, breakfast and dinner. And it might be a day or two before she eats. Don't blink. Whoever blinks first loses. Now, we have a family member that comes over and walks her. And so I'm going to go over a couple tips for that. So she's really excited for the walk. So the Guardians, I showed them when I first got here an exercise to stop dogs from jumping. If you forget how to do that, if you go to doggoneproblems.com, click where it says dog training tips, and then in the search box, type in honey, honey jumping, and there's a video where I go over that technique. I would practice that technique. Invite dad to come over, invite any other friends or relatives that she likes to jump up on, and practice that technique just the way I showed you. So she learns that being calm it makes her very attractive. We want to pet her. When she's excited, she becomes invisible to us. After a while, she'll start sitting and being calm right away because that's what gets her the attention. It's a form of operant conditioning. Now, when Dad comes over, I'd like Dad to actually go to the website and search for something called search for Ray, R-E-Y. There's a German Shepherd named Ray that I worked with that I would go over some kennel training tips. Now, the kennel in here is a little bit hard because you can't see from the top. What I would do is put a mirror or have somebody there on the side. So what you do is go approach the kennel, tell her to sit. If she doesn't sit, walk away and sit down in the chair that's in the room, and then just wait about a minute. If she sits, get up and walk over to where the kennel is. It'd be nice if you could see a mirror so you can see. So you tell her to sit. If she sits, we reach down and open the kennel door. If she doesn't sit, then we walk away and we sit down. Wait 1 minute the first time, then 2 minutes you sit down, then 4 minutes. Keep double the length of time. And she's going to be very excited because you really like seeing this person that walks her. But if we let her out of the kennel at that point, she's going to be really excited, and that energy is going to spill over into jumping and all sorts of other behaviors that we don't want. If we teach her the only way you can exit the kennel is by sitting, after a while she'll start sitting right away. And once that's the case, then when she sits, we wait 1 second before we go and open the door, then 2 seconds. Then we work our way up to 15, 30, 45 seconds, 1 minute. Eventually it's the point where you can open the door, and the Ray video will show you how you can teach her to stay in the kennel with the door wide open. But helping dogs practice a little self-restraint, self-control by delaying gratification, by exiting the kennel and different things like that go a long ways. So I'd like also the dog walker that's going to be watching this, if you go to my website and search for Calm Leash. There's a bunch of videos that I have. There's one in particular of a beagle, I think, or Jack Russell in Westwood or somewhere in Los Angeles, where I go over the steps on how to teach a dog to stay calm throughout what I call the leashing process. The energy the dog has in the home when you're leashing them up is the energy they're going to carry with them on a walk. And you could also remember exercise a little bit before the walk. That produces a much calmer walk. Remember, on the walks, dogs burn more energy by sniffing than they do from walking, so let her sniff as much as you can, as long as it's safe to do so. I would, again, get the snuffle mat, feed her breakfast and dinner out of the snuffle mat. You might want to go to feeding her out of the bowl just for a couple of days until she gets used to eating when you give her the food. But the snuffle mat, you can incorporate at any time. They get to it pretty quickly. Let me see. I would also get an Omega Paw treat ball. That's that orange ball video that I showed you. And if you have a guest come over, load that up with some of the treats that I'm going to leave with you. Make sure you burp all the air out of that bag because those have no preservatives. That's why they work so well. And then putting some kibble in it, and then she's got to use her nose to nudge that thing around. I say soccer when my dog licks it up. Come up with a different command word for it. And so let me see what else. And set games like we talked about earlier. Now, we also talked about rules. Before we get to the rules, we have a little one in the house, and she has a problem with kids in general. So I'm going to show you a little petting tip. So sit. So if I reach to pet a dog, see how she turned her head away and she licked her lips? That's her way of saying, I don't want you to pet me. So what I usually do is I go like this, and I wait for the dog to nudge in, and then I reach to pet her. I think she's so used to turning her head away and having people not listen to her, she's just turning her head away at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these training treats, and this is easier if you get up. I don't think you'll be in the shot. Come here. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to smash it so it's like a pancake. And while she's nibbling it, I'm going to get her used to me approaching with my hand, but I'm not actually touching her. So I'm just getting her used to this motion without any contact. There we go, a little bit of contact. So now, what you saw before is when I reached to pet her, she turned her head. So now I'm going to let her nibble this, and now I'm going to tickle her under her chin. Now this would be trusted people, not strangers that she doesn't know. If a stranger wants to pet her, I would tell them, say, can I pet your dog? Say, yes, well, we have a deal with her, though. She turns her head, that's her way of saying she doesn't want to be petted, and we don't pet her. And so the guest comes over, goes like this, and she turns her head to the side, and the guest pulls her arm back. The more that happens, the more she feels like, I'm empowered. I don't have to nip at anyone. I just turn my head, and they stop petting me. But the more we pet the dog anyways, and I just keep on petting, well, she's moving away. She's saying, I don't like that, and I'm not listening to her. That's going to cause her eventually, when she has a bad day, to start nipping. But if you have a trusted friend or a guest, come here. So you let her chew on the treat, and then practice doing this with as a trusted person. And now, even though I'm not delivering the treat, she's not turning her head away. So it'll take a little bit of practice. But with guests, I would again ask them to do that, to hold their hand out about 2 inches in front of her nose, and if she leans in, you can try to pet her. And if she moves away, again, I think it's residual. Then they could probably do that treat deal. But those would be more friends and family members, people she's going to see on a regular basis. Remember, never pet her on top of her head. Always try to pet her under her chin. And also something else I know is for her, sit, sit. She doesn't mind it so much if you're petting her here. So this might not be a bad thing to get people in the habit of doing it, petting her here. But if you see she starts to move away, make sure you let her. Another thing with moving away, dogs have what's called a fight or flight response. She doesn't like children, and I think probably because children usually surround a dog and they're all petting and they're grabbing, and it spooks a lot of dogs. So if the kids that want to meet, I would have a treat and just only let kids pet her if you have treats first. Good job, Dad's already enforcing a boundary over there. I love it. And so have the kids queue up in a line. So it's one at a time, and have the kids turn sideways to her and then crouch down. Front facing is confrontational, sideways is more approachable. If the kids hold the treat out like this, she's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. And treats are like $100 bills to dogs. So every time I meet somebody, the first thing that happens is they may tell me to sit or lay down, and then I get a treat. Well, then I kind of am in a good mood. And then again, I would have trusted people who have kids that come over a little bit old enough to have coordination, and do that holding the treat while they're petting, and get her used to when I get petted, it's a good positive thing. So I don't have to feel like I need to move away. But if she ever does, make sure we respect that. Okay, so we another couple things. We have the baby here is pretty young, but I usually like to make sure the dog has a place or two that they can go to that the baby can't go to. And so some people I've seen create, and what I would do is where we move the kennel, if you're going to put it there, for the exercise Grandpa's going to do about letting her out, I have that barrier that you could kind of move away. So I create a little bit of a barrier where Rue can jump over it and get into her kennel, and the door should be open unless you're enclosing her in the kennel. And so the baby can't reach up and go over there. So Rue can jump over, and there's about this much room between the wall and the kennel. So she jumps over and goes in her kennel. She should find bully sticks in her kennel, cow kneecaps, treats, new toys. So it creates more of a motivation to want to go in there. But this way she has a safe place that she can move away from the baby that the baby can't go to. Now, once the baby's moving around, the baby's coordinated enough to get in there, I might have like 2 dog beds in the room. So I have one over there or one over here. I call this one Jamaica. I call that one Bahamas. And so if I want to teach the dog to go to Jamaica, I throw the treat on the dog bed. When she goes and lifts it up, I say Jamaica. Then I throw one on the one over there and say Bahamas. And so after enough practice, you say Bahamas, the dog runs over there, and then you give them the treat after they comply. And now if the baby starts walking towards the dog bed over here, you tell the dog to go to Bahamas, and the dog moves away from the baby on its own. Or you can have also come up with a fun word for the command, for the kennel, and have the dog go in there. And when the baby's old enough, the kennel and the dog beds should be off limits. Under no circumstance can the baby go and interact, or the child at that point. And so if there's something, the dog has something, I have to go get mom and dad do it. So the dog has a safe place to go to and doesn't feel the need to bite or nip. All right, we also talked about rules. The guardians here don't let the dog on the couch, which is a great one. The guardian asked me about, because the dog does like to get on the bed when one of the guardians gets in the shower. So what I would do is, whenever I have dogs that don't behave the way I want, I recreate the situation, and I control the element so I can help the dog practice it. So in this case, what I would do is I would maybe have a mirror set up or Skype on 2 cameras, or 2 phones or something like that, and then basically recreate on a Saturday or Sunday, like you're getting up and you're going to take a shower, and you turn the shower on, because the shower coming out is probably a classical conditioned response. That probably cuts the dog, Rue starts walking towards the bed. So you're watching a camera. As soon as she starts walking in there, you bust in the room and you make that hissing sound. And she's like, "Woo!" And then you tell her to go to her cot. And I would do the same thing for the dog beds, for the cot, throw the treat on it, and come up with a funny word for that. Call it Hilton or Marriott or something like that. And so when you come in, you startle her and tell her, no, you're not allowed to go on the bed, and then direct her where you want her to go, and she gets rewarded for doing that. And after practicing that enough, you can turn the shower on, and she wouldn't do that. Or if you want to get really sophisticated, what I would do is I would have somebody in there in the shower with their hand on the shower. And then I'd have somebody else with treats, throw the treat on her cot, and as soon as she jumps up and licks it, I would turn the shower on for about 1 second, then turn it off. And then wait for her to vacate the cot and throw another treat on there, turn the shower on. So every time I get on the cot and the treat goes in my mouth, I hear the shower. After a while, I'll turn the shower on. We'll condition her to jump on the cot as opposed to trying to jump up on the bed. Okay, so other rules we talked about: shouldn't be allowed on this carpet here in the living room when the humans are eating, and you should practice eating snacks here. So she can and you can practice moving around just the way I showed you in the kitchen in the video above. I would also say she's not allowed to be in the kitchen when we're eating food. And she's doing a really good job right now. The baby is eating again. She's staying outside the boundary. Also should not be in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Look for other opportunities to enforce rules and to help her practice a little delayed gratification. That's a great practice of self-control, as well as respect for humans as authority figures. Another one, sit at the door. Go to the door, tell her to sit 1 time. If she doesn't sit, walk away, sit down for 1 minute, wait 1 minute, then go back to the door and command her again. Only 1 time to sit. If she doesn't sit this time within 3 seconds, I walk away and sit down for 2 minutes, and I sit down. If she doesn't do it next time for 4 minutes, 8 minutes, I sit down for 16 minutes. I keep on sitting down and doubling the length of time. But when I tell her to sit and she sits, that door flies open. Now, she likes to jump over the fence in the backyard, so what I would do is get that PVC pipe, make sure it's not too wide or too thick, cut a line down just on one side so it's kind of like a C, and put that on top of the fence. I would do the entire fence because I know she just does it in the corner now, but she'll just start looking at other places to do it. You just want to proof the whole thing. You won't have to worry about it. The areas where it's a little bit low and the neighbor doesn't want to do that, I would just put a fence up on this side of it, and we're not touching your fence, but it's on our side of the fence because we can't have the dog jump in the fence. And she's a renter, so if she does it, just say, hey, if you want, we could talk to your landlord about it, but we just want to do it. We just don't want our dog to jump over the fence. And it's your yard. You can do what you want to do, being nice about it. But you might have to cut the PVC pipe, just a little section for that. But I think the fencing, the way that you have it there, I think she's just that's almost a ladder. She'll probably jump over that. And so we just want to extinguish the behavior for good. For the counters, remember to use that counter surfing technique that I told you, the MacGyver story. So get an empty spaghetti colander, aluminum preferably, about 8 or 10 empty soda cans. You can also get about 7 or 8 pieces of silverware, a piece of string, and a bagel. Put it on the side of the counter. And tie it to the bagel, fill the colander full of the soda cans and the silverware, and then come in here and hang out in the living room. Don't watch her. When she does pull it down, it's going to make this calamity happen. When it does, you just go in the kitchen casually. You don't say anything to her. You pick it all up and put it back up on the counter. Then you come back and watch a little TV. Only do this when you're here. So she's like, man, they're not even looking at me. But every time I get on the counter, something bad happens. Now, some dogs, Labs in particular, will go pick up one of the cans and run around the house with the can. If she does that, I would get probably either an air horn or you could get like a can filled with change, and then just basically set up something that you don't care if she gets on the counter and watch her either with a Skype, a phone, or just watch her the corner of your eye. And when she sniffs it, slam that on the ground. Don't throw it at the dog, slam it on the ground. So basically now I just sniff it and I get a startle response. The other thing I would do, the way I would really prefer you do it, is using positive reinforcement. I would put some pizza crust or something on the counter and sit there kind of calmly and just watch her. If she starts going towards her, looks at you, make the hiss. If she walks away, click, if you're going to use a clicker, and then give her a command word that means to move away. And so now we're rewarding her for giving up the stuff on the counter. And while you're doing this, make sure you remove all the stuff from the counter. I know it's not convenient, but if you keep it off the counter for about a month or two and you practice, especially probably practice on moving away from the counter and good things are happening, you can also use a leave it command. After a while, the dog gets out of a habit of doing that. All right, let me see, what else did we talk about? We talked about petting with the purpose of passive training. If the dog nudges you, leans on you, paws at you, barks for attention, leaders tell, followers ask. If the dog tells you what to do and you do it, that can confuse the dog and thinking it has more authority than you, and that will reinforce doing it more and more. Now the dog's telling you what to do. Instead, the next time that she nudges you or paws at you for attention, I want you to give her a counter or tell her to sit. If she's already sitting here, tell her to sit over here or tell her to lie down. I would not practice shake anymore. As soon as if she does sit or lie down, pet her under her chin and say the word sit, and only the word sit, and pet her as much or as little as you want. If she didn't sit, show her I got 12 other things I could do. So either you do it my way or nothing happens. Playing a little hard to get. After a while, she'll realize that she can't tell you, and she'll start sitting in front of you to prepay for attention, because that's the thing that she does that seems to get your attention. And she'll start doing that more and more. When she does that, make sure you do pet her for that. Otherwise, she'll go back to nudging or jumping up. And that's really going to be good for the baby, so that she understands that I can't nudge or, I have to ask for it. That's more polite. Use the watchword of paycheck. If you suspect someone's petting without a purpose, even if that person did it right, they'd stop petting, say sit, pet her on the chin, say sit, say actually you missed it. I did ask her to sit, but thanks for reminding me. It's not a gotcha. Also remember to celebrate the things your dog does that you like. When she comes to you, pet her and say come, especially since she doesn't come when she's outside. Use that chicken treat. So have 10 pieces of chicken, hot chicken, go out there, let her in the yard once you've capped it and it's safe. Walk out in the middle of your yard, just stand there with the hot chicken. Don't show her you have it. She'll smell it. When she comes up to you, give it to her. Say come, and then go back in the house. Wait 60 seconds, go back, and this time go 19 paces. Wait for her to come, give it to her, say come back in, 18, 17. You won't make it to 10 paces. You just start opening the door and she'll just start running towards you. You're proving to her that it doesn't represent the end of fun, and it's actually a good positive thing. Now, passive training is a great way to do this as well. Every time she comes to you in the house, when you didn't ask her, pet her and say the word come. So come just means come and tell me the human gives a reward. I like that. Remember, most of us train our dogs to misbehave. They come to us, we ignore it, they sit on our feet, we take it for granted, they drop things, they lay down. But boy, as soon as they jump at the door or growl or nip, we correct them. Well, good attention, bad attention, remember, is the same thing. So instead of giving them, rewarding them for doing the wrong thing, start petting them for they do the things they want. So I'm sitting here, and Rue came and sat up and sat next to me. I reach over and pet her and say, come, or sit. Probably come because it's harder. Now, if somebody sees that, and I'm not paying attention, I'm watching March Madness is not going to be on TV because of coronavirus news, and she comes up and sits down and I miss it, that person says, celebrate to me. I turn and look at the dog, and I say whatever she's doing. If she's sitting, I would pet her and say sit. If she's standing, I pet her and say come. I would give her come up with a command word for for eating her food. So chimichanga or whatever you want to say. Every time she goes in her dog bed, or you can throw the treat in there, but every time she goes in there, you could say Jamaica. So now I go to this dog bed and it rains treats, or I hear the word Jamaica. The more we pet our dogs for the things that and give them attention for the things that we want, the more they will continue to offer those things. Most of us, remember, good attention, bad attention is the same thing. So we condition our dogs to break the rules because that's the fastest way to get our attention. I promise you, the more you pet her for the things you like, the more she's going to offer those behaviors for you. Let me see. I think that's about it. Remember, anything your dog is doing when you pet it is a reinforcement. So if your dog is fearful, stressed, or anxious, and you pet him, you'll make him more stressed, excited, aggressive, whatever it is. If she's nervous, you can lay your hand on her, and they do associate that touch with affection as long as she's not trying to move away. Remember, anything attention is good attention. And remember, not saying no is the same thing as saying yes. So create scenarios where you can help her practice not going on the carpet when you guys are eating the snacks here or all the other things we've talked about, and help her practice the activity that you want and get rewarded for that. Rue, come. Rue, come. It's like, I'm confused. I can't cross the line. Rue, Rue. Rue, come. It's like, my parents did such a good job for me. I don't want to come. I don't want to cross the line. Come here, sweetheart. This is Rue. I'm trying to give her a little better camera presence. I guess you can get the profile. This is Rue, and this is Rue's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.